Hello, can you guys hear me? I think so. We are live. Uh, if someone here, please confirm if my audio is good. Let me know if my audio is good. If anyone is here. Right. So let me do first initial things. What I always do. Let me share these things to my group. Yes. So we are live. I'm just waiting for my link to be shared in the group. Let me do that quickly. Right, so now let's first discuss what we are going to do now today. So today our main focus will be on the refactoring of what we have did yesterday in the stream. But just before that, let me take a look if everything works correct in the stream, because I'm using some different software to do the streaming. So I hope this time we don't have any audio issues. Just want to double check. I hope everything is. Can someone in the chat help me if my audio is good? Okay, so now I think so. If anything goes wrong, maybe you guys can let me know. To do the streaming, so I hope this time we don't have any audio issues. All right, I'm back again. I was just checking if everything is good on the audio side. Right now, let's talk about what we are here for. So, if you remember, right, yesterday in the last stream, what we did over here, we have created this url.ts file, okay, and in this file, basically, I was not so happy with how we have done this, right? So if you see, right, we are trying to repeat ourselves a lot here. So whenever I'm doing search, I'm doing an API call. Whenever I am changing a page, like when I handle the previous page, again I'm doing an API call, which is exactly the same API call, and same goes for this handle next as well, right? So yesterday we just tried to make our application work, and which we have did it successfully as well. That now our application is basically helping us to basically do the bare minimum thing like the API integration, and it basically helps us to do the filtering. Like for example, if I do tailwind search, can you see we are able to search? If nothing matches, then it will also fail, correct? If just in case if there is some text which doesn't match, then we get this no URL found. And what else we have, and also we integrated this pagination response, like whenever you click on next, you can see that we are able to get through all these records page by page. Okay, and one last thing was this, like if you want to change the record per page, that also is possible now. If you, with this drop down, if you say 10, now you can see 10 records, and also all the respective states are getting updated. Okay, now what I'm going to target now today is to do the refactoring, because as you know, right, we are actually using signals, but this reactivity is not there because we are still doing a lot of imperative coding that on every button action. So I wanted to get rid of those. But before that, let's try to see what all things we can basically minimize here. Okay, what all things we can remove here. So first thing what I see, right, so now we can put our private properties on the top, which is nothing but my dependency injection. So we will be putting it on the top. And after that, what I was looking at, so I'm using something here in the template which I don't want to put it here. So what we can do, right, we can just have here our state property, and this is nothing but going to be public read only. We can say page size options, and this is what we can put, and this page size option now can be used here. Okay, so that we can control right in the template. So you should not put something which is in the template, that has to be in the TS file, so that you have your whole control, right? So how you can use this page size option, if at all it has to be changed in future, you can directly change it in the TS file itself, not in the template. So this is the first thing what was bothering me, so I have updated that. And other than that, right, what I was actually thinking, to create a query builder. Okay, so if I just go back and if I, let's remove all my existing code, right? So what I was actually doing yesterday is this. I was trying to identify a solution which can basically help me to update my code. Okay, and this is what I have actually figured out, like what if I use computed, and this computed is nothing but again coming from the Angular, right? So this is coming from Angular /core. So this has some relation with the signals. So whenever there is a signal change, so this computed will help me to create another signal called as query. Okay, so whenever there is change to my page, current page, my current page size, or there is anything change in the search, so what we can do, right, we can build a query. So we can create a query from here, and this query will be updated whenever anything change here. And what this query has page, page size, and search term. Okay, so now what we can do here, right, so we need to make sure that whenever the signal changes, so this guy should handle the side effect basically, so that we don't need to do this call everywhere. Okay, so we don't need to do this everywhere, so we can just put it at one place and that will handle things for us. Okay, and let me show you how we can do that. So over here, so we have this query. So what we need to do, right, we need to add some debouncing for this search term, correct? So to add the debouncing, what we can do, right, we can first convert, as this is a signal, right, so we can convert this into observable. So we can just say here, this is my query, and we can convert it to observable, right? And now what we can do here, so rather than doing this, we can update this to this dot query, right, query dot pipe, and in the subscribe we can basically do some magic here. Okay, so we have this debounce tag, and if you want we can also make use of take until destroy, right, so that it can handle the unsubscription if you change the page, right, so that you don't have to do manually. Now this is what I have at the moment, but what I wanted to do now, I don't want to do search explicitly. Okay, I don't want to do that. So what I can do, right, so whenever anything changes, so now I have a query, which means whenever I will do subscribe, so in the subscribe I can access this page, page size, and search term, correct? So that I can access it somewhere over here, so I can just put here page page size. I'm just doing destructuring, okay? And this is going to be my source term, which means I can access all three here, which means there should be only one source of truth, which basically helps me to load the data whenever these three guys are changing. Correct? So now let me handle that maybe somewhere in the bottom. So I can say here load, and this load will have page, right? This will have a page number, page size, and there is also something called as search term. Okay, and based on that, this guy is going to do an API call. Okay, if you see right now, I will be just copy pasting the same thing what you see on the top. So it's the same subscribe what we have did, right? So now this API call what we were doing on change of every button event will be handled from here, this load. So now can you see now whenever there is any change in the state of page size and search term, we are going to do a call called as this dot load. Okay, so we are just calling this method by passing all this property what we get. So and this is this is what this load basically does. So this load is going to do the API call for us, which requires page size and search term, and based on that it will help me to update my page URL response. Correct? And if there is any error, then this is just log. So that's fine at the moment. And now what I can do, right? So now I can get rid of a lot of code here. So if I just show you now what it does, if I add that logic, so if I change the page number, so you will see there is two API call. Okay, so the first API call is done at line number 159 and another is done at 175. So if you go on 175, which means yes, this is what I wanted. I wanted to do the call from here. And if you go up on line number 159, so now we can get rid of this API call, which was related to whenever we do the search. So I can remove this, right? So I don't need to do the API call anymore, right? And this search I can just, I think I can remove this whole search. I feel, yeah, this whole search can be removed. Okay, and this also we can remove because now we don't need to do any search. So the search state will be handled from here. Okay, so whenever there is a search term changes, this will go ahead and load the data for me. Now let's see if our search still works. So if I go back and if I search for tailwind, can you see my search is still working, and you can see right from where it has been called. So it is called at 162, which is this load. So there is only one guy who is helping me to load all my state whenever there is change in page size and search term. Okay, let's also search about what if I change the page number. Does it still work? So if I change the page number, can you see it still works? And if I go in the network tab, so can you see again it is calling from line number 162, which is what it was expected. Now I also need to check if I do next. Okay, again let's go back to 5. And if I click on next, can you see now what happens? So again there is two call, one is 135 and one is 162. So I only want 162 call, not the 135. So I can go on line number 135, and again this thing can also be removed. Can you see now how we are able to refactor? So yesterday we just made the code work, and today we are just trying to refactor our code so that things gets aligned. Same thing for the previous page. Now we can remove this, we can get rid of this code. Let's remove this code, and that's pretty much it, I guess. I think that's pretty much it. So now we have one load, and this load handles all the states, all the actions for handle next, handle previous, and on selected page, right? And now we can actually get rid of a lot of things from here as well. Now we don't require this page URL response and all of this data. So we just require now one single signal, and that signal will be this my page URL response. So I can get rid of this and I can change it to signal. Okay, and this signal is nothing but going to be like, if you want to handle it as a null, you can do that. So this is my page URL response, and this is how you can handle that. Okay, so this is my page URL response, and now I can get rid of this So I will just have one signal, and I don't need to handle the search term anymore, so I can get rid of that as well. And then I can get rid of this as well, and I can handle everything with just the page size. Okay, so I can change it to page size. I think there will be a lot of page updated. Yeah, so this will change to page size. This will also change to page size. Where else? Yeah, this will also change to page size. Okay, and now if I go back, so I'm just also trying to slim my properties as well. So now we have URL API, which is good. This is also good. Then we have a current page, which is required for us. Then we have a search term, right? And now this search term basically will help me to have it here in the query, which is also required. And then right, I think that's pretty much it, I guess. So now we have all sort of things which is basically required for us to add the reactivity with Angular, and also a bit of RxJS, right, where we are using this debounce and take until destroy, correct? So now if you see, right, this is how the final code basically looks like. See, now it is very much small. If I show you the changes, right, what I have made, can you see now? A lot of lines of code has been removed now, and things have become better and better. See, now we just have signals, that's it, and then we make use of computed to build a query, and that query we are basically trying to add some reactivity, like add some debounce with RxJS by converting it to, so by making use of pipe and then doing the subscribe and all of those. This line was very important basically, and I already explained it yesterday. Why? Because we can only make use of pipe and all of this on observables, so that's why it was required for us to convert the signals into a observable. And you can see, right, lot of code has been refactored and things has been removed. Now there is only one guy who does the loading of data, and this is the one. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's how basically we go ahead and refactor our URL component, and we made it quite slim now. Okay, right, so if anybody has any question, then do let me know in the comment section. So now this was one way of basically doing the refactoring. Now I also wanted to share another way, and that another way is basically making use of a new HTTP resource. This is also maybe I can show you what exactly I am talking about here. Yesterday I was searching about HTTP resource in Angular. So this is what Angular has given to us now. It makes a reactive HTTP request and exposes the request status and response value as a writable source and all of that. Because now if you take a look, right, like whenever I am doing anything here, so you won't so we are not maintaining the loading state, we are not maintaining the error state and all of those. Okay, so just in case if you want to handle that part as well, so you will have to create some more properties. Okay, let me show you what do I mean by that. So to handle the loading in the error, what you can do, you can have here a loading, and that is going to be a signal, and then you will also have an error, that is also going to be a signal. So now what you basically do whenever we are loading the data, right, so you can basically tell that, hey, the loading has been started, right? So whenever we are trying to load the number, we can say this dot loading to set true, and if you got a response, you can just set it to false, and if there is error, then that time also you need to set it false, and you can basically add an error that this has failed to load the URL. Okay, and basically based on that, you need to handle those in your template as well, which we haven't did yet, I guess. Yes, we haven't did it yet. So now if you remember, right, we had this if else condition, and that was basically added here. So here first we check if we have any data, if the length is there, then only we show this. Or else what we can do, or else if we can add here loading, right? If there is any loading, we can add a loading state, or else we can add a error state or something like that, like nothing got found or something like that, no URL found. Or if there is anything broke, okay, we can add an error state basically, so we can show the error here, okay, what went wrong. and this is what it is. So if for the loading we show this loading state, for error we show this error state, and if we have a data, then this is what it is going to show me, the real table data. So now if I try to say next, okay, if I try to say next, so my expectation was there should be some loading, but I didn't saw that, which is not good. Let me search for some wrong data. Yeah, so we have removed one thing which was required, and that was if we don't have a length. Okay, if we don't have a data, then what should we do? Let me take this first. So this is for if state, if we have a length, else if this. Okay, I can also have else state, and that will say no URL found. Maybe yeah, this should do the job. Yeah, and can you see now if I have nothing found and I see a loading state comes, it says loading, yeah, and it has loaded the data. If I again go back, so this should also change the state when I'm actually changing the page, right? So at that time it is not working, and that is because of this, because the state is already false. Maybe that's why, because whenever we do this change, right, handle page next, correct? So this page next basically goes ahead and call this, if I'm not wrong, yes, it calls this, and over here we have to make sure that whenever we subscribe, okay, so here we need to say this dot loading to true. Okay, and now if I go back, if I say next, okay, it still doesn't shows. Interesting, because ideally it should have came here. What if I do, maybe it's just quite fast and we are not able to see, I'm not sure. Let's see, let me put it here as well, because anyway we are changing the state when the API call is done or if there is any error. So just to be sure, I think so it's because of the data, I guess it's just fast, I think so. Let's see, let me do some throttling here. I can put it to 3G. Yeah, there is something wrong, because when it is pending state, I want to show that the loading should come, but it is not showing, so we need to somehow fix it. Let's see how we can fix that. So whenever the page calls, so we need to put a loading state that should do the job, and once the data is loaded we can set them to null, right? And okay, I think so I know what I have did. So now I need to change this completely. Maybe it's because of how we have used the sequence. Let me see. If I say if there is a loading, then we will show this. If there is an error, we show this, right? And if we have this, then we show this. And what if I have everything? No worries guys, I will be changing that to the correct one. So now we handle here, okay, if it is not loading, and then if you know URL found, that's what we show. If it is error, then we show this, and if this is loading, then we show this. So what we do here, so now we can get rid of this block, we can get rid of this block, and we can get rid of these 3 blocks. Okay, and I don't know why it has this weird, okay, I think it's because of the for. Okay, if and for. Let's go back and see what if it still works or not. Let me put it to no throttling. It has a loading state initially, it has loaded the data. Yes, so the loading is showing in the bottom, and the reason being that we, okay, now I know what is the issue. Okay, so this is what I had to do now. So I can take this if and I can put it on the top, because this tr should be on the top, and then just below that we will have our data, because the data is still there, right? So now if I add that, yes, okay, right. Now if that is the case, then we show this, okay, and then we can put here @ else if, something like this. If I say next, and that's how we can fix that. So now we need to add that state on the top. Maybe because of my network tag was this, so I was not able to see it, but now it works fine. So now if you go to previous, it will add a loading state, it will add a loading state, and it will load the data. Okay, just in case if you're not so happy about this loading thing, then you can make use of skeletons, right? So you can use a skeleton here, so that will have that skeleton effect that your data is loading. Okay, but this is what it is like. That's how you will be writing the logic here. Nice. What if my API call fails? So let's try to see if that works or not. So for that, I might have to fail my API just by doing some mistake. So I can change this URL here like that. And can you see now? Fail to load the URL, and there is nothing here, and that's what you cannot do anything with the state. And it says that you have failed to load the data, right? So also, if you don't like this approach, then you can add one more if here, like if there is error. If there is no error, then only show this, or else you can skip this. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So if I again go back to this page, you remember, right? We have a pagination created, and this seems to be my pagination. So what you can do, you can wrap this inside an if there is no error. If there is no error, and yeah, then only you are going to show something. Let me remove this and have it like this, and inside that you can paste the code. Let me format it. So now can you see now if there is something went wrong to load the URL, so you won't have your paginated here, like pagination buttons and all of those here, which you cannot change. All right, so let me again make this URL correct, and let's go back. It is loading the data, and see if you have a data, then you can have your pagination things as well. And yeah, this is what it is. And just in case if you need this code, I will be putting up it on my GitHub, so you can find this code from there. I will put this public, so you can access the whole code, like what I have did here to do the refactoring for this particular component. Okay. Now, just in case anyone has any question, then do let me know again. Now, I will be focusing on the next thing. Okay, I don't want to basically focus, but I want to actually explain you a new way, because of which I have added my package as, like, if you see my Angular version, it is not version 20, but I'm using the beta version, which is Angular version 21. Next, like this is the upcoming one, which will be, I think so it will be in the month of November, or maybe in mid-October, you don't know. Like Angular team will be coming up with version 21, and this version 21 has a very interesting thing, and that is nothing but a signal form. Okay, so currently I don't have a form, but what I can do now, maybe I can start very small first to explain you, like what is this signal form and how you can basically use it. So what I will do, right, let me come up with a small changes in the HTML so that things will make change. Let me make this, which is not required. Yeah, I can close this, and I can close this guy as well, I guess. Yes. So now what I'll do, right, I'll just try to explain you in a very bare minimum way that what is this new signal form. Okay, so again, I don't have a form, but I think I have one search element, which is this. So I will be just showing, I will be taking the example of that. So for example, now if you have an input here, okay, so input type text, which is good, then you will have a placeholder. Come on, please work. You will have a placeholder. I'm waiting for AI to help me. Yes, so you have a placeholder with all of these classes. That's fine. And now what I want to do, so whenever I'm changing the input, I want to see, I want to fetch some data. Correct? I want to fetch some data, and this data fetching I will be doing with the HTTP resource. Okay. Now, for example, whenever the data comes, I want to show it here as a code here. Okay. Something like this. So currently it just shows search term. That's fine. This is what I have, my big URL, and below will be my state. Okay. Now, let me just do one thing here to show you about to show you about how we can add this, how we can use this signal form, correct? Let me put all of this in the bottom and let me show you, like for example, now I have a search text. So I have a search text, and what I'll do, right, this search text is nothing but going to be my signal, and the signal will have a property basically, and this property is nothing but my text. Okay, so imagine, right, so like if I had to do this in reactive form, then you remember, right, we create those this dot form builder dot, we use the form builder dot group, and then we have created something like that. Like if I show you, there will be something like this dot fb dot group, and inside the group we will have search, and then we could have done something like this, correct? Like this is going to be my form, something like this we could have done. But now what I'm trying to do, I'm just making use of signal to first create my model, and this model I'm going to attach it with the signal form. Okay, so now this is the right time for me to create a form. So my form, how I can create, I can make use of, I need to import something called as form, and this form basically comes from here. Let's see if I can import that. So let me import from @Angular /forms/signals. Can you see now we have this something new, and in this you can have this form. Okay, and this is the form what I will be using here in the bottom. Okay, so I have a form, I can create a form, and what this form needs to do, you can attach your property what you just have created, the signal property what you have created. Okay, and in this way your form is ready, like just for one text I'm doing, but yeah, this is what it is. And now see the magic. So now my form is ready, but you remember, right, I wanted to add some debouncing, correct? So to add the debouncing, what you can do, you can create a new signal. Okay, and the signal name will be text debounced text. And how you can create a debounced text? First of all, what I will do, right, first you need to create it into an observable, and again you need to convert it to a signal. So what I'll do, I'll first have this to signal, okay, because I want that debounced text to be a signal, and inside that I will first say to observable. Why to observable? Because this form, right, this form will give me a search text, which is this what I'm looking for. So what I'll do, I'll just say this dot form, okay, simple form dot, can you see, I'll get text, which is this, and this text is nothing but a signal which has a value. Can you see the value? And this value is nothing but a signal. So that's what I'm doing. First I'm trying to convert this value to a signal, to an observable. Okay, and once that is converted, what you can do, you can make use of pipe operator, right? You can add a pipe and you can do a whatnot, right? So something like that you can do. So here if you see, right, okay, this is for an subscription thing, but I don't need to do because I'm anyway converting it into a signal, so I don't gonna rely on that. So now if you take a look, what I did, I had this text value which is a signal, I converted that to an observable, and from that observable I added a debounce of 300 seconds, and whatever value I got that as an observable, I have converted it back to a signal. So this has become my debounce text signal. Okay, if you can add this just for the better understanding, right? So this is what we have did here. Now what you need to do, right, you need to get your list data, right, you need to fetch the record, correct? So what I can do, right, I can say my paged, my response, maybe I can say response, or let me give a good URL resource, because I will be using resource now. So this is my URL paged resource, because now here on this line I will be doing the HTTP call. How I will be doing that? I will be using HTTP resource, and this HTTP resource is from Angular/common/HTTP, and this is the new way by which you can do the API call. You can do the get call, and that will basically return you an HTTP reference, and that is okay. If I hover on this, right, so this is returns an HTTP resource function, which is which is not what I wanted. Let me just do the exact things because I want to show you the type, what kind of type it basically returns. Okay, let it do what it wants to do. And can you see now, this is what I was talking about. So this returns an HTTP resource ref, and that HTTP resource have a lot of advantages. I will show you what is that. Okay, but this is not what I wanted, so I can get rid of this. So what you can do, you can just say return, and you need to create your query. You need to return the API endpoint which you need to fetch for doing the get call. So what I can do, right, I can quickly go and grab it from my services. I can get this. This is what I was looking for. So I can copy this at the moment and I can put it here. So I don't have a base URL, so what I can do, I know my localhost. So this is localhost 7212. Okay, this is coming from here. This is where my backend port runs, HTTPS 7212, and that's what I have added here. And I have page URL, page index, page size, and search term. Right? Okay, so this all properties I will need to put it up because I want to use them. So let's go back and put it here. Okay, now this page will change to this this dot page. Was that current page basically, and this will change to page size, and the last one will change to the debounce text. Okay, which means this is what I have added now. So now whenever there is change in the debounce text, so this guy is going to do a fetching to this HTTP resource, and this HTTP resource will give me a HTTP URL. So this is where I'm doing the API call using the HTTP resource. Okay, so I don't have to do the subscribe and don't have to do anything there. So whatever it will return basically a signal, which is this HTTP resource ref. I'll show you what is that exactly. Now if you remember, right, our input here, we have added this search term, so we can get rid of this. And what we can say here, URL resource dot, you have something called as value. Okay, and let's see what this value is. Now if I save the changes, if I go here on the top, okay, it says object because yeah, it is an object. So I might need to use JSON pipe to show you what exactly is this. So I can use a JSON pipe, save the changes, and can you see now, this is what I got. So I'm able to fetch the response from the backend by using an HTTP resource. Just to be sure, you can see there will be a 2 API call happen. So one is at line number 132. If you go here, can you see now at this particular point, it is pointing me that there was an API call happened because of some change in the debounce. Right now, what if I search something? So if I search about Tailwind, let's see if it does the call, API call. Okay, see, it is not doing anything. See, nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? See, I'm doing some change here, right, in the input, but nothing happens. Why? Because your form, what you have created here, your source text, what you have created, it is not connected now. So to connect that, right, what you need to do, you need to make use of something called as control. Okay, and you need to attach your form.text, and can you see it is already imported here as well. So it is again coming from form/signals. So this control you need to attach, like now your form has a text, so you are attaching it with your control, input control. Okay, and save the changes. So now what will happen whenever the input is changing, right? So what will happen? This will basically change. So we have a form, this form.text is getting updated, and whenever this is getting updated, we have this, right? We have made this 2 signal thing, which basically goes ahead and do the debouncing for us for 300 ms, and it updates this debounce text signal. And once there is any update to the signal, this HTTP resource gets triggered, because this gets triggered whenever there is any change to something which is used here in the URL. And when there is anything triggers, so it again goes and do the API calling. And now if I go and show you, if I search for Tailwind, now can you see now, again I got the response from the JSON, and this is how the JSON looks like. And now I have only one response, which is Tailwind. Correct? And this is what this new HTTP resource can do for us, and it's quite amazing. If I search about Angular, so can you see now we have total 6 count, and I'm able to see all of them. As this is a page generated response, so I can only see 5, but yeah, there are total 6 here. If I make some mistakes, let's see what happens. See, I made a mistake, there is no record found, so you can see your data is empty. Okay, and this is what we have done by making use of signal form along with the HTTP resource. Now, so what do you think? So should we go ahead and refactor our existing code with this? Now, why I tell you, you know what? Because now with this new HTTP resource, what we have, this URL resource, this has something really great powers, and that is nothing but this state, which is dot loading. Can you see we have this is loading out of the box, so we don't need to handle the state. This guy also has something called as error. Can you see error? And let's see what all things he has. So you can make it as read only, as value, you can check that, you can check the progress, you have the headers, you have status, you have value, which means that now we can get rid of these two state if we want, because now this is already handled by your HTTP resource, which returns this, which returns it to this URL page resource, right? Now, so let's see how we can do this refactoring one by one. So let me again bring this back, right? So now this is my value, which is good. Now what we will do, right? We have our first input, so now we can get rid of this. We can copy and we can paste it to this. So now when there is any text change, this is what it will trigger, right? And what else I need to change? So let's see. Okay, this is okay, so this will update the data for me. That is nice. And now this is my table data, which is my, okay, that's my column, and here we have an error, right? And then we are basically checking for, like, if there is no error and we have data, right, then we show this. I think this is the pagination one, that's fine, we can handle it in the last. Yeah, so here we can say URL response dot is loading. Okay, we have updated that. What else? We can have this error state. We can say that URL response resource page resource dot, if there is any error, then show this, right? And we can also update this. Same goes with here, like, okay, we can I don't want the AI help here. Okay, that's fine. Same here as well. So if there is no error, and then we are just checking here about data and value, so we can just, I think there is something called as dot has value, correct? I think so, yeah. It basically checks if it has a value or not. And same thing here, we're gonna update it to URL page resource dot data, and yeah, so this can be removed. And then we have a value signal, and that value signal we have this has previous page, but you remember, right, we cannot access it because we have put that as unknown, that's why. So what we can do, right, we need to specifically specify the type here. So this is going to be of type paged URL response. Okay, and now if I go on the top, this should fix the, yeah, this should fix the issue for us. Same thing you can do here in the bottom. Okay, so you can change it to page index. Same, you can do it here as well, and same thing can be done here as well. Okay, now we are just trying to refactor everywhere with this URL page resource. What else we should update? I think that is pretty much it. Okay, now see the magic of the HTTP resource. This is what now people are complaining, that there is a steep learning curve going forward with Angular. Yeah, it is there, but trust me, all these changes are here to make your life more easy going forward. Okay, now I can get rid of this code. No need to have a JSON pipe. Now I'm just trying to review my code again. So I have an input which is attached with my new signal form control. Then this is good. Then here we have a loading state, like if the URL is loading, then I'm going to show the state. But if my page URL responds, so this will change to URL resource dot value dot data dot length. If it has it, then do this magic, and we have this for loop. Okay, and this for loop has item of URL page resource dot value dot data. I think that's nice, right? That's what I needed. And then if there is any error, it will show that, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. And now if I add all of this, so now you will see one change now. So now this HTTP resource will be called when there is any change to the current page size, current page, or this page size. So this HTTP resource will be called, and this is going to update my URL page resource, which means now I think now we can safely remove this code. Can remove this code. Let's see. If it breaks, we can fix it. That's not a problem. We can get rid of that. We can also get rid of this load. Okay, let's see what else I need to fix. There are some errors for sure. So we have this loading state, so we can get rid of this as well. We can get rid of this as well. And in the constructor, yeah, so we don't need to handle this anymore. So now we don't have query, so we should not handle this anymore. And let's save the changes. Now we have a URL API. That's fine, we can keep it for now. I'll tell you why. We have a current page, we have search term, but now the search term basically comes from where? The debound signal. So we can safely remove this as well. Let's see. Oh, no, I think we have it. No, yeah, we can remove that, because now we have created a form signal which is search text. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this as well. We can get rid of error as well. Now because everything is handled with the URL page resource. Okay, it is breaking something, yes, because we have, okay, no URL font, so we can change again all of this to this, right? And let's save the changes. Let's see how we are able to make it more slim. So now we have a current page, we have a page size, and then we have a search text which is attached to a signal form. And then we have created a debounce text signal which will always update whenever user is trying to type something in the search. And we have a one guy which is handling all those three states, which is current page, page size, and the debounce text signal. Currently we don't need this, so let me comment this code for now. And yeah, see, I think we were able to refactor it quite a lot, and I'm so happy about this. So we don't require all of this anymore. Don't require this anymore. This I still want to keep it. I'll tell you why. But I think we are at a very good shape now. See how slim it is, and how slim this also had become. Now let's see if everything still works or not. So if I go back, if I click on next, yes, if I click on next, see, everything is still working, and now all of this is handled by our HTTP resource. So we have a loading state. Okay, previous cannot, because see, we cannot do that, and I'm so happy about this change, trust me. If I search about Tailwind, so can you see now we just did the search? Oh, because it didn't found. Okay, there is something wrong. There is still something wrong. Okay, because the search is not working now. We'll see how we can fix it. So if I search about LinkedIn, let's see what state we get. Oh, so we are getting empty from the backend. We have page size, we have search term. Looks everything correct to me. Okay, let me see why is it breaking. I think I have made some mistake, something in the backend. I think so. Now it's search tailwind. I don't know how. Why is it was not working previously? Maybe I was using some wrong text. Is it Angular? Okay, yeah, it has all the Angular keywords, which is good. What if I search about yeah, LinkedIn? Yes, it is able to search. I am not sure what happened. Maybe there was a cache issue, or maybe I haven't refreshed the page. Okay, then I think let's see if there is one error, like when I try to search something. Let's see what happens. What's happened to this page number. So if I search about tailwind, see, there is one problem, right? So we are still, the page index is not changing. So now how we can fix this? Let's see. So let's take a look. So whenever there is a change, we need to make sure that we are coming on page number 1. So let's see, this is good. This basically sets on change of the selection, and here we have this debound signal, correct? And when there is a search, okay, we have a search term, we have this where we have prepared this, and now let's see where is this used. I think it's used over here. Whenever we are doing a search, there is something called as change, and we can do one thing here, that we have this dot current page dot set to 1. Whenever we do a search, when input thing changes, we need to set this to 1. And if I remove this, and now if I search about tailwind, okay, this is still not correct. Let me check how we are building this page number of. So there will be a page of thing, it was at the bottom of the pagination. So we have a next, and just above that we have this. So here we have total pages, then we are using the page index, which is coming from the backend page this of, what if I use current page 1 of total pages, something like that. So if I do next, okay, if I search about tailwind, okay, it still says to, oh, search, after search happened, then it has updated. Okay, which is good. Like after search completes, then it updates the state. That's what was expected. If I again go to page number 2, search about tailwind, no data found, then this should have removed it. This should have removed this part. Let me see why is it not removing. Okay, if there is no error and URL page source has a value, then we show this, which is correct. Okay, maybe I'm not sure what exactly is that. Okay, if the length should be high, length should be greater than 0, or I think so, yeah, it is undefined, so that's fine. Maybe we can just keep it like this, because 0 is anyway false value. So let's see. Okay, now it is breaking at line number 98. So we have the total pages. Now this guy needs it. Okay, oh, because I was checking it on the top, something called as has value, and that's why. Okay, cool. Okay, let's search for tailwind. Loading. Yeah, no URLs found, and we cannot see anything. If I correct the spelling, then there is one tailwind. Yes, so now the pagination is again back. If I go back again, if I go to page number 2 or maybe page number 3 and search about tailwind again, then yes, now it works fine. Now we can see the page also got updated to 1 of 1, and everything is still working as expected. Now what if, guys, if I change this page number 5 to 10, like 5 page per to 10, so I want this also to be get updated, which I think I have already handled. So it says no URL found, something broke. Yeah, something has broken, because I am on page index 3 and page size is 10. Okay, so there is still something is breaking there. Okay, I need to fix that. Thank God I'm trying to figure out all sort of bugs I can get. Okay, if I say page 20, yes, it's good. But now what happens, I'll tell you. I go on page number 3, and now I'm trying to say that, hey, I want 20 pages. You just notice one thing. So I'll just first explain you what is this error, and then we can fix it. What happens now, the page current index is 3. If I change it to 20, can you see the API call? I'm telling backend that, hey backend, give me page number 3 where we have total 20 page size, and that is impossible. Backend will return you empty response, and if the response is empty, then you'll get this URL not found. Right? This is what it is. So now what we need to make sure that whenever there is change, whenever the change happens, so whenever the on selection is changed, I need to change the size. I need to make this guy as 1. Okay, I need to make this one. So let's see where it has been used. I think it's used above somewhere. Yeah. So what I can do, I can get rid of this method, and I can directly use this dot. That was current page, or what was that? What we were using here? Page size. What is page size? Oh no, this is wrong. So we can change it the current page to 1. So let's go back. So we can say this dot current page, we can set it to 1, and we can get rid of this function. Okay, and let's go back, and we don't need you anymore, and let's save. Let's see again. Okay, let's go to page number 3. Now my expectation is when I change it to 20, can you see now? Now this works perfectly fine. Why? Because why the error was, because I have explained you, right? Because now it properly passed the current page index, which means whenever user is changing this thing, right, so it will always change the current page to 1, because it should start from 1 as this data is coming from the backend. And now I can say confidently that we have successfully refactored this whole code. And if you compare it with the previous code, right, what we had, now it is quite more slim and trim. Let's see, let me show you why I say that. Can you see now how much code we have changed and how much code we have also added? If you see the logic part, we have changed a lot of properties, unnecessary use of query, computed, link signal. We have get rid of all of those code, right? Can you see this? All this big thing has been removed. So always try to make your component as slim as possible, and that can be achieved if you are following declarative programming. Because if you see, right, all of this code, what you see here, which is in the red on the left hand side, or marked as red, which has been removed, all of them are imperative coding. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain today, that how you can convert your imperative code to declarative, and that's where Signal comes handy to achieve all of those, right? Now there is one small improvement I can do here by moving this HTTP resource to a service, because you remember, right, we don't put any API calls or API URLs in the component. That has to be abstracted and put inside a service, correct? So that we can do now here in the URL API. Okay, so here we can create a method called as get paged URL resource. Okay, and here we need to create we need to have some inputs, and this inputs should be like your page, but this should be a signal of number, size should be signal of number, and then it should be a signal of string or undefined, and you don't need to return an observable now. Come on, now as we will be using HTTP resource. So let's see, let's get back, and we can add like this. So now what we can do, we can just say return, we can say HTTP resource of page URL, and here we need to pass this. So if you see, the input here is very important. So the input, as input I'm taking signal, and those signal I'm just passing it as a value during the API call. So now we have a base URL and everything here already here, like coming from the API URL, what we have created as a const and everything. So now this is my get paged URL resource. We can pass page, we can pass size, we can pass search term, and based on those things, this is going to do the fetching for me, correct? And now this method can be used inside your, maybe inside here, and now we can get rid of this. Okay, and now I can put this dependency injection thingy on the top, and I can uncomment this. Now because this is coming from my service, correct? So I have created my API URL service. So this guy is going to have this dot URL API dot get page resource, and here you can pass all of the signal here, which is current page size, current page size, and debounce text signal. And that's how you can basically do the final refactoring, just by moving your URL code into a proper API service or whatnot. So now if I save these things, now my expectation, it should still work. If I press next, yes, it works, still works. Let me do a search. Okay, there is no URL found because there is nothing called as tailwind, is it? Okay, let me again do that tailwind. Okay, I think again it's breaking. Let's see why it shouldn't have broke. Now I'm passing correct page index. Okay, I have a data. Maybe it's because of it takes some time to load, that's all. But ideally it should have given me the loading state. But yeah, let's see, maybe I can check it offline if there is something still wrong, but I can't find anything here at the moment. Maybe it's just my API is slow as I'm using some cloud-based Postgres database. Maybe that's why. But I see there is always a state pending. Can you see? It was pending. So first it says no URL found. Okay, yeah, because it is wrong. What if I put tail? Oh, it works fine. I don't know what was wrong. Maybe it's just a matter of I need to do a refresh, that's all. Okay, it works fine. It works fine. If I change the page to 10, yes, it still works fine. And if I change the page to 5 again, if I go on page number 3, and if I change it to 20, so my expectation is that this should also change, and it has changed. Nice and easy, right? So this is what it is from this today's live stream, where we have discussed about how we can make use of signal APIs. Like for example, we first saw how we can use computed to build a query. Then we have also seen how we can make a single source of truth by creating a loader function. And now finally we have get rid of everything. We have seen a small glimpse of a signal form just for a single text again, but again that has really helped us to achieve a lot, to be honest. Can you see, now we have a signal form, we have this created, we added the debouncing on the signal, and then we have created this URL resource as well, which has been abstracted into a URL API service. And this is what it is from this today's live stream. Again, so I think this is going to be an end of this particular series, what I have started long back. Now you can basically also create the front end, which basically make this thing all work. So currently if you see, we have option to trim the URL, and we can also manage all our URL here. Okay, so there is one small thing pending, which is this delete action. So I wanted you guys to give it a try, and you can try that as an homework or whatever you want. So maybe I can push this code on GitHub, and you can check out the code, and you can go ahead and try to implement this delete by yourself. But if you face any issue implementing that, then do let me know. We can maybe then again do it on the live stream, just this small delete part. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. I think now it's right time for me to end the stream. It's already more than an hour. I would say thank you so much, whoever has joined the stream. See you guys maybe in the another stream now. Bye bye.